What's going on, guys? How we doing? So good to see you guys. Hope you guys are doing well on this Wednesday afternoon or whatever it is in your neck of the woods. I am so excited to be doing this. I've been working on this project for quite some time. I've been getting ready for this stream for like the last 12 hours, so I'm a little bit tired, but I want to know how you guys are doing. Where are you coming from? How is it where you are? What time is it? Where are you in the in the world, basically? I want to know, like, what's the weather like for you right now? So let me see what people say in the chat box. There's a little bit of latency here. Hello from Pennsylvania. Nice, nice. Hello from Ohio. Sound money to the moon. Nice. Hello from Arizona. Cali. All right. Another Pennsylvania. What's going on with that? Hungary. Yeah, I'm feeling pretty hungry. Montreal. Awesome. Cool. Right on. So awesome, guys. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm hoping this is going to be a really interesting stream. This is kind of impromptu, but at the same time, I think this is very apropos of, you know, where we are right now. Okay, we got a lot more responses coming in. Nice to see you guys. Thanks for tuning in wherever you are in the world, wherever you are in terms of what time it is. These headphones aren't doing me any good. And yeah, I really appreciate it if it's late at night for you or early morning. And yeah, obviously, if you're watching this in the future, hello, future. But yeah, thank you for joining me. Thank you for watching. This is what I love to do, is interact with you guys and, you know, talk about crypto and like talk about what we're doing. And especially, I think, as I said, like, we're in such an interesting time right now because, you know, yes, we're ending the year, but I think we're transitioning in more than just, you know, the calendar. Crypto is in such an interesting place right now, and that's kind of what I want to talk about today. So let's segue. I think that was really well done. Into kind of what I'm going to be talking about today is really what I see as sort of the trend, or something that you should be looking at as it relates to, you know, 2019. And, you know, hopefully I can help you by the end of this presentation. I can help you identify some things that are kind of interesting and, you know, something that you might want to look at in terms of opportunity. So, you know, this is really not meant to you know, impress upon you that you have to do anything, or, you know, and that's a good segue into the risk disclosure. Yeah, like, I'm not here to be a financial advisor. I'm not here to tell you what to do with your money because it's your money. But what I am here to do is be an entertainer, and also, you know, like, I like imparting cool things. I like to talk about cool things. I mean, that's why I'm in crypto, and, you know, that's why I like making videos for you guys, is because it's such a privilege. It's such a joy to be able to do this every day. You know, I love doing this, and like, thank you for tuning in. We're almost at 100,000 subscribers. Can you believe that? Like, I started my channel a year ago. I know I'm digressing right now, but I don't care. Uh, I started my channel a year ago, and it's been just such a whirlwind. And, like, you know, I've met so many cool people, and, you know, crypto is just such a cool space. And I really, it's people like you that, like, make it happen. I think because of the nature of what it is, and because of what we're trying to build together, like, it is just like such a unique space. And I hope we never really lose that. You know, crypto is certainly growing up right now, but at the same time, like, I hope we don't lose the soul of what makes crypto so interesting and unique. So anyways, like I said, I'm digressing, but, you know, like, from the heart, like, thank you so much, guys. Like, it's been such a killer year. And so one other thing I want to mention is that, to thank you guys, also shout out to my the premium members that I've got on. I've got two. This is like, the white balance is terrible. I'm sorry. I've got two ledgers that are like special because you guys are special, right? So this is the Bitcoin pizza one, and this is the Bitcoin white paper one. These are limited edition. You can't get these easily. I don't know. So anyways, stay tuned for how I'm going to give those away. I'm still kind of figuring out how I'm going to give them away, but we'll get to that. So anyways, on to the main event. What I'm talking about today is about 30 minutes of content. And like, honestly, I probably have ADD, but like, I can't read your comments at the same time like I'm giving this presentation. And so if you have questions, I'm gonna address them, and I want to, but like I can't do that at the same time like I'm presenting. So if you do have questions, I won't be able to talk to them. I'm sorry. So just if you have a really good question, you want to think about it, hold it till the end. Basically, is what I'm saying. So cool. All right, we're good. All right, excellent. Moving on. Yeah, the other thing, I can't talk about your portfolio. We probably shouldn't talk about portfolios because, you know, it's sad and I don't know. I'm kidding. But yeah, I can't. Again, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not going to talk about your portfolio. So, you know, sorry. All right. So moving on. This is crazy. Yeah, this is a really crazy slide. But what I'm trying to impress upon you is sort of like a state of the union address of like where we are right now. What is the state of crypto right now? Like, honestly, let's look back over the past year and think about like what has actually transpired. Like what are we doing? Like what is this space? Like where are we going? What has happened? And you know, like it has like what are the implications of the last 12 months? Like was it nothing or was it something? And you know, honestly, you can go either direction, but yeah, all these graphs should impress upon you that like something happened, right? Well, yeah, there's been in so many different ways. We've transitioned as a space. We've changed. There's metamorphosis of so many different aspects of the space. You know, like I've been watching crypto for the better part of 6 years now, and it's the way that it's changed in the past year is just so different than the previous five that like it really blows my mind. It's a new space for all intents and purposes, but at the same time, it is still reminiscent of the old days. So you know, like what I think was the biggest thing that happened to us, especially over the last year, is sort of the implosion of the ICO bubble. And you know, there's more to it than just saying ICOs are dead. And like I think that's a kind of a cop out thing to say because you know the ICOs aren't dead, but what is very apparent is that there's been a reduction in their usage. And I think people have kind of woken up to the fact that yeah, unfortunately, you can't have an unregulated space and an unregulated capital formation model. It just isn't gonna work long term. It's not sustainable. So, yeah, I think that has been the big call to action over the past year is, or really, you know, the wake up for us is that, yeah, unfortunately, ICOs just weren't a sustainable model. And now we're sort of in this like, I don't know, not crisis mode, but we do have a lot. We've definitely gone through a lot of introspection over the last 12 months. I think that's very apparent. I think hopefully going through these past 12 months and all of the heartache and you know what we've done, hopefully it does have purpose. And what I'm trying to say is it does. And I think it was a really interesting social experiment, the ICO, but I think it's time for something better. And so that's what I'm trying to get to. And if you've been paying attention to my channel for the past couple of weeks, you probably know where I'm going. But yeah, like where we are right now, there's a lot of really systemic, like big systemic questions of like, what's going on? What's going on with Bitcoin? What's going on with Ethereum? Like, are stable coins backed, Bitcoin ETF, like all these big things. And yes, I think they're relevant, but for 2019, what I think is the most relevant question is how do we move past the ICO bubble? How do we legitimately move past this idea that anyone can raise any, you know, like money, like anyone can go out and have an idea and like have a dream and go and tap into this global pool of liquidity. Like, yes, the ICOs were flawed in their execution. When you lower the barrier of entry so much, you're gonna attract hot trash. Like it's, you know, that's the thing. But the promise was there. We could like there was still something genuine about that. There was still something really, I think, important about that, because the way it works right now, or as I'll talk about through this presentation, the system is flawed in terms of being able to have private equity like try to do a startup and try to attract investor capital. It just it's a system that's stuck in the past. So that's where I think ICOs touched that nerve, but they just didn't do it in the right way. So that's where I'm going. And yeah, like we clearly have the the trustless system has lost trust. So yeah, like I think that right there sort of engenders like the the main point of what I'm trying to get at is like we need a more sustainable model. We need a model that can work long term, that can replace the ICO, or rather improve upon it. And so that's where we talk about security tokens. And so yeah, big surprise, I know. But I want to talk about security tokens in a little bit of a different way than you might have seen in the past, or you've seen other people talk about them. And hopefully that is, your takeaway from this presentation, because I know like I've made probably 6 videos so far on STOs, and I'm sure you've seen other people talk about securities. But what I want to do in this presentation is really talk about, okay, yeah, what is the security? What is the opportunity here? But really impress upon you like why this is such a big, huge opportunity, and why it's going to define 2019. Because that's like such a blasé statement to say like, yeah, security tokens, they're going to be, the big thing in 2019, and they're going to resurrect the crypto markets, and it's going to be a golden bull run because, these STO things. But like, why? What is the opportunity here? Is it just because like it's a better version of the the ICO, or like is there something deeper here? And so that's what I want to explore here, and hopefully that's something interesting to you. Like if we're talking about like how do we improve the capital formation model, I think there's a lot of opportunity there. So one thing I do want to like talk about is how when we talk about global wealth, when we talk about when we talk about global wealth, and we talk about Bitcoin rather, what Bitcoin is trying to do, and sort of is going after, is this idea of like, oh, it's going to be a global reserve currency, or it's going to process all these transactions and do these things. But when you really look at it, the supply of fiat currency, or like the makeup of the pie chart of the world's wealth in relation to what is fiat currency, it's only like 30%. The majority of the world's wealth is locked up in securities. So that's where I see this as like a big opportunity. I see this as a much bigger opportunity than just being digital gold or something like that. Like this is something that transcends that in some way. So moving along. Oops. Oh man, how do I go back? Oh, this is embarrassing. Okay. Yeah, okay. Let's talk about what is the security. Technical difficulties. All right. So yeah, this is the question. I know it's boring. I don't want to talk about it. Nobody wants to talk about it because it's so boring. But actually, no, I think this is really interesting because it does talk about something, this concept that we've, at least in the US, have stuck with for like almost 100 years now. The Securities Act was passed in 1934, and the big piece of it was something called the Howey test. And so what the Howey test is sort of this arbiter of like how you define what a security is. And so I know like you might have heard this before, but what I want to do is like make it a little bit easier for you, because there are 4 points of the Howey test. First off, is it an investment? Second, is it an investment into a common enterprise, a pool? Third, is it with the expectation of profit? And fourth, is it derived from the efforts of others? So what I see, or how I think about that in sort of a simpler way, is, obviously you're going to be investing in things, and you're going to be, there's often times where there's a common shared liquidity pool, but that doesn't mean that it's a security all the time. For example, like, is KickStarter a security? Or, If I invest in a Beanie Baby, is that a security? And let's look at the definition we just talked about. Is there investment? Yes. If I'm investing in a Kickstarter project, or I'm investing in a Beanie Baby, yes, I'm investing. With Kickstarter, yes, there's absolutely like a common enterprise. Or if I grouped a bunch of friends together and we went out and got Beanie Babies, sure, there's a common enterprise. Um, it is, for example, in the case of Kickstarter, yes, there is a definite, there's definitely other people working on the project that you're investing in. So yes, there's work derived from somebody else's effort. But with Kickstarter, is there an expectation of profit? And that's where it falls flat. There's no expectation of profit. You're not putting money in to Kickstarter expecting your $100 to turn into $200. You're expecting a good or service to come out of the Kickstarter campaign you're investing in. So no, it's not a security. And with Beanie Babies, you're investing in it, but unless you are doing something like getting some sort of company together, or you're putting it into this Beanie Baby fund and they're going to go out and get some more Beanie Babies or something like that. Otherwise, no, a collectible is not a security. So hopefully this starts to make sense to you. The thing to know about the Howey test and what it relates to how you define a security is basically, is there an expectation of profit derived from work of others? Like, that's the easiest way to think about it. And once you start to understand that, once you start to be able to see things through that frame of reference, I think it makes a lot more sense. It makes a lot more sense as to what is a security versus not a security. So why do we do this though? Like, what is the point of talking about securities? Why are securities a thing? When you have something defined as a security, it's under much more stringent, regulation and investor protections. And I think that gets kind of to the heart of why we do this, is because when we have something like an unregulated market, as we saw with the ICO market, that leads to lots of cases of fraud and scams. And it's unfortunately, that's going to be the case in any market, because people are going to look to take advantage of other people. So what securities law does is basically, that's the government, regulatory bodies trying to prevent that sort of fraud and prevent any sort of scams or anything like that. The distinction to make is that it's not, the government is not trying to protect you from making a bad investment. You could go out to any gas station and pick up some lottery tickets, or go to the casino and bet it all on black or something like that, and the government's not going to stop you from doing that. Otherwise, as long as you're of age. But like, you're able to make bad investments all day, but a bad investment is not the same as a scam. Securities laws are in place to basically prevent these bad actors from taking advantage of you. So that's why it is the way that it is, because it's basically helping the marketplace be something regulated, be something that you can trust, that the other party that you're investing in isn't going to screw you, other than maybe they just aren't efficient with the money that they gave you, or you gave them and they fail or something like that. But as long as they're not an outright scam, then it's still fine. So hopefully that's sort of making sense as to like why we do this. Why are security laws in place, and what's the point of this? Why do we do this? Because as we saw with the ICO market, yes, I think we did need some oversight in terms of preventing outright scams, exit scams, and people who would just take people's Ethereum and then just disappear to some island. That just wasn't good. And it didn't help crypto really. It further solidified some people's opinions that the space is full of scams, and it's all BitConnects and that kind of stuff. Like, it wasn't good for the overall health of the space, because a tiny pool of bad actors represented the entire space, and I don't think that's fair. I think that's not how it should be. We should have some distinction in place to ensure that, like, people can trust that this is a space of discovery and innovation, and it's not just about scams and all that sort of stuff. So anyways, moving on. I get you. Like, how does this help me? Like, where, okay, this is all really interesting, cool. Like, I get it. Yeah, okay, fine. Securities law, woohoo. Yeah, I wish there was less scams out there, but like at the end of the day, I'm interested in making money. And like, like that's my MO. Like, I don't care about any of this other stupid stuff about the Howey test. And it's just, I, yeah, leave that to the lawyers kind of thing. So that's where I agree with you. Like, it is kind of cut and dry and it's just very boring stuff. But this is where I get to start talking about like the interesting opportunity that is evolving here, basically, because what we have is, as it relates to the way that securities law and just the way that the market has evolved, when you talk about something like private equity in a company, that is very much lock and key. Like, that is very much locked down under securities laws, as it should be. It clearly passes the Howey test. You've got a startup and it's got equity, and this is clearly put into place to, like I said, prevent fraud and make sure that the marketplace is operating as it should be. Cool. Like, that's how it should be. The problem is, as it has evolved, as the marketplace has evolved, private equity has been kind of left behind in terms of innovation. When we look at public companies and we look at how they've evolved, they have access to being digitized and on digital stock exchange, and you can go to NASDAQ or the NYSE and trade millions of shares in seconds, because that's like that the technology has definitely evolved and it's very fast and it's great. That's awesome. But private companies, unfortunately, there's no liquidity pool. You can't, like, there's no none of that infrastructure in place at all, because how they are structured. You can't just, you can't go to an open market and try to connect buyers and sellers because of the way that they're structured. They have to follow certain rules. If you look at something like a real estate investment trust, an REIT, it has very stringent laws in terms of, or restrictions in terms of how it is going to be dividing and selling that equity. For example, it has to have more than 100 investors. It cannot have more than 2,000, or else it's considered a public company. The top 5 stockholders in the REIT cannot hold more than 50% of the equity. Non-US investors cannot hold more than 50% of the equity. How do you manage all that stuff? The answer currently is you have to have a private fund manager. You have to have a guy, literally a middleman, sit there and approve every buyer-seller transaction. You can't just, even if you did have a buyer, like, you would have to go through this fund manager, because they have to ensure that compliance is respected. They have to make sure that everything about this investment, this trust, like, it is, the law is respected. So hopefully, you being a student of blockchain and Bitcoin and all that, you understand how much of an opportunity it is to remove the middleman. And this is where we're starting to get somewhere interesting. Okay, so if you're following me so far, what we're trying to do is basically allow private equity to be digitized, and by doing so, that opens up a whole bunch of really interesting possibilities. So follow me down this rabbit hole, okay? Yes, as I was talking about, as it stands, there's not much that something digitizing equity can do for public companies. Blockchain is not going to really help public companies because they're already pretty efficient. There's little that the blockchain can help with administrative efforts and all that sort of stuff. The opportunity is in private equity. And what's really cool is that private equity is a huge chunk of the wealth. And it, as you can see with these graphs, it's only continuing to do so because the IPO is falling out of favor. It's kind of not a secret, but like that's the thing is companies are finding it just really not worth it going through that process, not worth going through, some Wall Street firm taking a bunch of their equity and millions of dollars to go through an IPO when they could just try to attract private equity, and there's a lot less overhead. They don't have to give up as much. It's really expensive. It's really not worth it to do an IPO these days. So, again, can you start to see how the puzzle is starting to fit together here, where we're going? So that, as I was talking about with the REIT example, private equity cap table management is a mess. It is crazy how it's done right now. It's so old school because, like I said, you have to go through a fund manager to sort of guarantee that certain conditional requirements are being enforced. And so what I'm starting to talk about is the security token. And when we tokenize equity, we can build in conditional logic into that. We can build in the business logic to say, do all the things that we want to make sure are meeting compliance. We can make sure that only a certain amount of Ethereum addresses have these coins. So we meet like the investor requirements. We can make sure that like all these different conditional things are met, and that's where it starts to get really interesting and really exciting, because when you have a system that is self watching or self-correcting or something like that, that is really, really cool. Like there's automation built into the system. There's the token itself has the rule set built into it, and it will not that allows you to enforce those compliance standards without having some guy watch over every transaction. So we'll keep talking about this in a sec, but where I see the biggest opportunity for security tokens, where I see this is the big thing, this is the big takeaway, okay? The big opportunity for security tokens is that once you have a token that is self-compliant, self-enforcing of compliance, and it's using the blockchain, and so it's faster, it's cheaper, these are all really cool things. But the big opportunity is 24/7 secondary markets. Now you can have buyers and sellers all over the world connecting to one another as it relates to being able to transact these tokens. Now you have a global pool of liquidity entering markets where there's never been that sort of liquidity pool. Like there's no guy in Spain looking to invest in some real estate investment trust in Arizona, that just doesn't happen because it's so expensive. The pieces are just so complex now because, like I said, it's just so old school. But now that we have a digitized process, now that we can ensure compliance, now that we can have a ledger of transactions with the blockchain, now that we can have a whitelist of KYC AML compliant addresses, people that meet the requirements to invest in the equity or whatever it is that the security token is representing. Now that we have all of these pieces coming together, now we can have global liquidity for private equity, and that is extremely, very, very interesting. Like that is by far the biggest deal about this, and that's why I keep talking about STOs, because once I made that connection, blew my mind. Like that is so big that is going to help so many different things. It's going to be so different. It's going to unlock so much for just the capital formation process. Like I started talking about with ICOs and how if you're a startup and you've got a dream and you want to make it happen, ICOs were sort of the start of trying to make that happen, but unfortunately they just lacked the compliance, the regulatory standards that made them available, that allowed them to be traded. But now what we can do is, if you want to raise $300,000 for your startup, and you don't want to have to go through Wall Street or a bank or like a VC fund, which are going to kneecap you with all these restrictions, and you got to go through all these Series A and Series B requirements and blah 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 blah. Instead of doing that, you can go straight to investors and say, hey, I've got this really cool idea. I'm selling, 60% of my equity or 40% or whatever. And this is like the conditions of the token that I'm building. And like, you can work with all these emerging issuance and exchange platforms, security token exchanges, that will help you make sure that you're KYC, AML compliant, and you've got the proper pieces in place to make all that happen. Now this is really interesting. You can have your token, you can have your equity trading on an open market where so long as the people trading on that market are compliant, like there's no problem with that. You have a global pool of liquidity where people can have fractional ownership of your business, and it's all done. Like the system checks itself. So hopefully, like this is starting to be something kind of interesting. I know this is a little bit like, oh, okay, yeah, okay, cool. Where are you still going with this? Like again, how do I make money? So like I'm trying to help with that, but what I'm seeing right now, what I'm seeing is the STO space is becoming its own industry. We have the cryptocurrency industry, and I see the STO space as sort of the sister space of the cryptocurrency space. And what we're really going to see over the next year is security token exchanges and security token issuance platforms come to light, come online, start to attract clients and issuers that are going to be tokenizing their equity. And what we're going to see is this massive, it's going to be a trickle at first. A couple companies are doing it. Here comes the first couple STOs, and then just bam, it's going to be like 100. It's going to be like an avalanche of just STOs, because once companies realize like this is such an awesome opportunity for them, this is cheaper, this is more efficient, this is faster, this gives them equity, at light speed compared to the traditional paths. Like, yeah, this is going to be something huge. So once we have the proper exchanges in place, we're starting to see them come online right now. I've been, checking out Open Finance. They just, they're trading. You have to be an accredited investor currently to trade the two STOs on their platform that are currently there. But we're getting there. We're getting there. And that also brings up a point like, hey, I'm a non-accredited investor. I sunk all my money into crypto, and so I'm not doing so hot right now. How does this help me? And that's where I want to be sort of the voice of reason for you, or like the guiding voice to say like, look at all this, look at all this stuff that's going on here. Look at all these. You don't have to be investing in the STOs themselves to be making money from like the STO space. You can be investing in the platforms that have tokens, or the exchanges that have tokens. You can be investing in the technologies that are going into this, the stable coins. I don't know, like there's tons of stuff happening right now. So just because you're of a certain demographic does not mean you're locked out of this. Yes, if you're an accredited investor in the US, it's going to be pretty fun for you. But that doesn't mean the rest of us are left behind. And again, this is how the system works already. Like you can't be complaining about the STO space. This is how it's, like I said, since the 30s, it's been working. So, just because this is a new space does not mean they're going to change the securities laws. And they've already expressed that the SEC feels that, they don't need to update their standards just because it's a new technology. So anyways, yeah, digressing. But what I'm trying to impress upon you is that, yes, there's an opportunity for you to make money with the space. And I think it will represent like some of the best opportunity in 2019 as it relates to the shared crypto space. So hopefully that is starting to make sense. Hopefully that's what I'm impressing upon you is that this is a really cool opportunity. I think this is a really big development for us because, as I said, like crypto and the STO space, they sort of go hand in hand. And as one develops, it's going to help the other. As people start to get trust in, the capital formation process in a decentralized way, that's going to bring people back to crypto who might have gotten burned by ICOs. That's going to get people to check out blockchain again, because STOs are going to rely on blockchain, and they're going to rely on things like Ethereum to ensure that the token standards are being met. So as we see this space grow up, we're also going to see blockchain receive benefits from it. So it goes hand in hand. So yeah, you're going to feel the effects of this regardless. So what I'm trying to say is that why not like get a head start on it and really embrace it for what it is? Because as I see it, it is the next best thing that's happening to us. So anyways, where we're seeing this go, what we'll start to see over the next couple of years is STOs really come to light and be better defined. And I think we'll definitely start to see that by mid 2019 is like, that's when stuff is going to start to kick into gear. And I think that corresponds pretty nicely with like just how the crypto markets are right now. I think overall for the overall crypto space, we're just sort of lacking purpose right now, or we're just kind of like, okay, what's next? What's next? Like, what are we doing? And I think STOs will indirectly help with us figuring out that next step. I think it's all kind of going hand in hand. Like we're talking about institutional investment. Well, institutional investors need to know that they're investing in something that is compliant and has custody solutions and isn't going to be volatile, and that is the STO. Like like that is it. But at the same time, like they're also going to be helping to make the space more compliant and more respected and just grow up. Like that is the thing, is like we need crypto to mature. This will help with it. And it will do it in a way where we don't have to sell our soul. Like people keep saying like, yeah, in order to get crypto back to where it was, we need institutional investors. But like people lament that, like, well, if institutional investors come in, they're just gonna, ruin the party. It's gonna be, they're just gonna corporatize crypto. It's gonna be lame, and there's gonna be a degree of that. But I think STOs, as they're built, they are pretty lame, but like they are built for institutional investors. Like this is exactly what they're looking for. So like, yeah, I think this will be sort of the bridge between crypto and institutions. So hopefully that sort of is making sense. And like I said, we'll get to questions and answers in a little bit here. So yeah, where we're going, and this is where I am like super excited, is there's a lot of really interesting possibilities once we have sort of the space in it. We prove that STOs work, that they can meet the compliance just with the token itself. We can prove that, like, instead of having to sell your equity to some Wall Street firm to go sell your equity to investors, instead you can spend like, I don't know, like a couple $1,000s and like have your security tokenized and like trading that on a 24/7 365 secondary market. Like that is awesome. Like that's exactly where we need to see this go. And I think it will happen really quickly, probably faster than we're anticipating. And so there's some really interesting implications here. Like I'm just trying to like speculate where we're going, but like there's some really interesting avenues we can go down. Like the SEC might mandate the tokenization of securities over the traditional method because it's that much more efficient. Or, we'll see things that normally weren't tokenized be tokenized, and that will also be kind of interesting. One of the interesting examples I saw the other day is like, once you have sort of a basket of real estate, you can start to use that or like build derivatives off it. And, possibly, like, for example, you could like put a bunch of properties in Midtown Manhattan and then like maybe some in, I don't know, Brooklyn or something like that, and Queens. And then like you could have ETFs built on different, suburbs of New York. And you could go like long on Midtown and short on Brooklyn. Sorry if anyone's from Brooklyn, but like this is crazy. Like this is so cool. Like we're going to start to see like really interesting things like that. You could tokenize like an artist and like own a fractional piece of like the intellectual property of like that artist, and like that's really interesting. Like there's a ton of different ways this can go down. And I like, the more I think about it, the more it gets me excited. So hopefully I've impressed it upon you. But like, yeah, I think over the next year we're going to see tokenization really take hold. and there's going to be a lot of really interesting implications of it. So hopefully, me being just this crazy internet guy, like I've told you a story of like where we're going, and you know I'm not trying to predict the future in any respect, but what I am trying to do is make an educated guess as to what we're going to see before us. And I think this does represent something that will come to light very soon. And I don't think anyone's really ready for it. Like that's the other thing is just is blowing my mind is like this is there's such an opportunity here, and like there's so many different ways that this can be explored that yeah, I don't think we're truly ready for it. So yeah, in the same way that we're not ready for blockchain in general, but this specifically, I think this has so much disruption potential because, like I told you, the way that private equity is handled right now, and just the way just the general process of like how things go down with that, it's so ripe for disruption. It is so old school that yeah, there's so many things we can do with tokenization, and just the technology stack that we can introduce to that space. Yeah, it's something else. So okay, cool. All right, still with me. Okay, so as it relates to where you go from here, because I want to keep talking about security tokens and where we are eventually going as a space, and like as it relates to the next year, especially like where are the opportunities? I'm definitely going to keep making videos about STOs, and I'm definitely going to continue to highlight why they're awesome and what projects are doing that. But there's been people who have been asking me like, how do I make money with this? Like, where's, like, tell me what to invest in, and how do I get started, and all this sort of stuff. And unfortunately, like I can't help everybody, but what I can do is offer sort of a solution to that, where I want to have sort of like an insider group of people that like we sort of share like our best knowledge, our the sort of the insider tips and tricks that I think is necessary to get a head start on a space like this. Because what we'll see over the next year is gonna move so fast that you're gonna need something like that. And so your two options ahead of you is either you try to do that on your own, you try to research STO projects and try to do like I do and try to like get ahead of this and understand everything, the implications of it, and what projects are cool and that sort of thing. Or you can join a group like this and have someone do the research for you. And so that's kind of what I'm trying to imply, is that like I want there to be an insider group that you're a part of, and together we conquer this, and like we do some really cool things. So that's why I'm going to be offering sort of this hybrid class where I'm also offering some beginner level education on what are security tokens and how you get started. But for me, or for hopefully for you, the big exciting piece of that is having a insider group that you can join, and it's a one-time fee, and like once you're in, you're in, where we're going to talk about SEOs like every day. It's a Discord group of like, this is what's going down, like this, I just heard this really cool thing, we should check this out. And I'm going to use my connections to get some subject matter experts in there. So we'll have private webinars with guys that are like lawyers and project people who are working in this space too, so we can get like really good information on this. Like I'm so excited for this, because like this is something that I've been working on, or just like I've wanted to do for so long, but I just haven't had the tools to do it. But like things have really materialized really recently, like that. I think this is the right time to be offering this, because in 2019 it's going to move so fast. So yeah, like that's what is really cool, and I'm really excited to be offering this to you. So in addition to that, I'm also going to be doing a live spreadsheet of like, tracking Ian Bellina style. That's a terrible preference, but like I'm going to be tracking every SEO project I can, and highlighting how you get into it, what are the conditions, and what are good opportunities, basically. So again, like you could either do all of that by yourself, or you could pay a guy like me who sits around all day and does this stuff. Like, I get fired up about this because I'm literally looking at this stuff every day. So hopefully that, like, I'm not coming off as some crazy guy. Like, this is a legitimate opportunity, and like, I want to help you make it happen. So, I can't do it for free, but like, I can like offer a really good deal on that. So normally I would make this like $100, but until Christmas, I'm going to make it 79. And for my premium members, it's, you get the $10 off. So it's 69. I think that's a tremendous opportunity. Like that's a steal basically for the amount of like content and like stuff that I'm going to be sharing with you. Yeah. Like I want the barrier to be so low because I want a lot of like really dedicated people in our little insider group, because that's how we're going to make it happen. Like, we're going to do this together. We're going to like find the opportunities, and we're going to like, we're going to have a kick-ass 2019. That's basically what I'm trying to say. So hopefully that didn't come off as too bad of like chilling. I don't do this very well, talking about this kind of stuff. I'm just too honest, to be honest. But like, I'm really excited to share this with you because I want you, like, I want to help you. Like, if you realize how big of an opportunity this is as much as I do, like, let's do this together. Let's have some fun, and like, let's conquer 2019. So, all right, that's my spiel. Oh, and I've come up with the idea. The first two people that get the the STO course, they will get the Bitcoin pizza and the Bitcoin white paper ledger. So that's those are the conditions. All right. So I've put it off long enough. I'll take your questions now. Thank you so much for sticking around. I know this was sort of all over the place, and it's probably pretty clear I haven't slept in a while, but I am so excited to be here and talking to you guys. I love doing this. Thank you so much for being a subscriber. Like, 2018 was not a good year in terms of the market, but it was really great to be a community with you guys, to just the comments that I've read from people, like what we've talked about, it's been just so awesome. So like, thank you so much for like helping me build this channel. And like, I'm super stoked for what is going to happen in 2019. I've got a lot of plans for how I'm going to build this channel up and like, make things happen and just continue to increase the amount of videos that are being put out and like increase the quality. I'm just, like, I'm not slowing down. Like, this market has not got me down. And I think there's, as I've talked about in this webinar, like, there's a lot coming that I'm really excited about. And so hopefully you are too. So I've talked long enough. It's time to take your questions. Okay. So yes, the link to the class is ReadySetCrypto.com/STO. You cannot get the discount on the class if you just go to our class page, which, by the way, we have a 10% off all of our classes until Christmas. Merry Christmas. I forget to tell people this every time I talk about a new class. I'm terrible with this. I'm so sorry. But yes, yeah, I guess I am ready, set, chill. Oh my God. Brutal. Yeah, I'm glad 2018 is over soon as well. It has been not a fun year in terms of the market. I'm right there with you guys. Like, yeah, this has not been cool, but that's hopefully we've sort of gotten the bad blood behind us. We've gotten rid of a lot of those crap projects, and we can start to move into some really interesting territory. I think we had to go through that year, this past year, to really engender like a much better 2019. So anyways, do you think this is the start of the bull run or it's a bull trap? Oh, it's definitely a bull trap. Yeah, there's nothing there. What is predicating the recent movement? It like a small short squeeze, fake volume on exchanges. Yeah, like we've seen this time and time again, guys, throughout the entire bear market. You get one of these like 1 or 2 days up and then it just right back down. So I would love for this to be the start of some gradual, like we've hit capitulation and we're going right back up. But yeah, I'm not trying to catch the bottom. There's no prize for catching the bottom, the catching the knife, like there's no point. So if it's starting to go back up, that's awesome. And I will continue to watch it, but I'm going to stay cautious. there's no point in saying like, yes, this is the start of the bull run, because what does that represent? Prices are going back up. So cool. But like, yeah, be cautious. Don't jump into anything just because the market's up 8%. So let's see. Where do I buy tokens of STO exchanges? So what is the current state of things with exchanges is that security token exchanges, for the most part, haven't launched yet. They're going to be doing so in Q1 and Q2. But for the most part, you can't buy STOs right now. You can't invest directly in STOs. That's why I'm saying that it's a much better move for you, especially if you're not an accredited investor or non-US or something like that, just to look at the projects and look for projects that are good buys right now, because they're going to be offering value. I think that's a good opportunity. So, and we've seen it in the past couple of weeks, like STO projects like Swarm and Own and Smartlands. Yeah, these have all been killing it. So yeah. All right. Let's see. There will be STOs for non-accredited investors. I'm not an accredited investor. Surprise. But like, yeah. So like, I'm right there with you. Open Finance Network will, as one example, will eventually have Reg A and Reg CF offerings on it. Right now, they're just doing Reg Ds. But eventually, yes, they will have Reg As and Reg CFs, and that is for non-accredited investors. So there will be opportunities for direct STOs in the future. It just not right now. Let's see. Yes, I actually do really like Nex. I like the whole Neo ecosystem. I might be going to Neo DevCon, by the way, so I'm really excited for that. I've never met Hong Fei Da, so this will be fun for me. When STOs launch, they can be taken off exchanges and put in the private key. So yes, they are, for all intents and purposes, like a ERC20 or ERC223 or ERC, was it like 1400? There's a bunch of different token exchange like standards right now, and I think there's like a battle to see like which is going to be the dominating token standard. But for right now, yeah, it works just like the tokens that you're used to. There's just conditions in place to make sure that you can't trade it with someone, for example, if that's what's built in. Let's see. I'm addicted to my intro too. That's why I've been using it for a year. The discount link, it's a discount code. It's in the premium newsletter. It's a coupon code that you use during the checkout process. And if you can't find it, just type into me, support at ReadySetCrypto.com, and I'll refund you the $10. Not a big problem. Let's see. ADA, yeah, I'm conflicted because I want to see what they're doing. I'm a guy that I like to dig through code and see what they're doing and how they're doing it. And don't get me wrong, like there's a ton of potential behind Cardano, but I just need to see more. That's pretty much it. And they need to make things simpler. I think they need to work on their marketing. But hopefully, yeah, over the next couple of years, they'll be the one that they don't really care what the market's doing because they've got such interesting tech. See my beautiful face. Let's see. Do you see a combination of crypto and STOs as a blend of investing or switch to STOs only? That's a great question. So again, I can't give financial advice, but what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be trading, yes, both STOs and crypto because I see them as sort of, equal opportunity. STOs probably will be the dominating trend in 2019, but that doesn't mean I don't want to be accumulating right now and getting into projects in crypto. Like crypto's not going away. It's going through a bleeding period. And certainly over the next 12 months, we're going to see the runways for a lot of these startups essentially run out. So yeah, there's going to be a lot of projects that are going to die over the next year or so. What I'm interested in crypto is finding the projects that can stay, that have staying power, that have longevity. What I'm interested with STOs is, finding the projects that are the most interesting or, are going to be the ones that dominate the fastest. So different investment strategies, if you will. Opinion on Neo, I still like it. They're still doing cool things. Does that mean that like I'm frustrated with how it's gone over the last 12 months? Absolutely. Um, but that said, like they're still making developments, and every platform cryptocurrency has had problems over the past year. Like it's not easy. And unfortunately, a lot of these tokens that were built off of them have been selling their coins, and it's been driving down the value of the underlying platform token. So yeah, it's you could levy criticisms to all of the platform tokens, and you could be disappointed with all of their performance. Neo is not singular in that. So yeah, I'm excited for the potential of what they're doing. Ontology just released a security token protocol, OEP. I forget the numbers, but they're going to be trading security tokens too. So, guys, like, it's a sign. Like, I've seen a lot of projects over the past couple of months pivot to being able to offer security tokens, or, in the case of something like Smartlands, they were like just doing agriculture tracking or something with their utility token. And now they're like all in on being a security token platform. So I've seen a ton of projects pivot to STOs. So, anyways, yes, STO class is for newbies, and it's going to be about getting you in. No matter your previous experience, you will have to have some knowledge of how to operate crypto to be able to trade STOs currently. You're going to need to know how to convert USD to BTC or USD to ETH. But like beyond that, it's not that much more complicated for like logistically going forward. Yes, like I want to be able to provide like really good education for newbies and experts alike. So yeah. Let's see. Could Bitcoin take the place of the de facto investment medium for STOs? In the same way Ether is the gateway to ICOs, you think Bitcoin will be the gateway to STOs? That's a really good question. And I think that relates to the larger perspective of where Bitcoin is going. Because now that Bitcoin, as the underlying core protocol, it's going to continue doing what it's doing. But the really exciting stuff with Bitcoin is sort of what's being built on top of it. Just like how the internet TCP/IP protocol hasn't changed since the 70s. It's still the underlying base protocol for the internet. Everything we've done with the internet is being built on top of it successively. Like that's how we've gotten to where we are. So the same thing is going to happen with Bitcoin. And sure, maybe Bitcoin Cash people won't like me saying that or whatever. I don't care. But like scaling solutions are the future, as well as like finding additional use cases for Bitcoin, and like transaction layers on top of it. So maybe eventually it will trade STOs and be a settlement layer for that. It will have smart contracts and stuff like that. That's kind of what STOs are. But yeah, I think that's kind of years away for now. So yeah. Am I going to fight Crypto Daily? Oh, no, he's a beautiful person. He he accidentally stole my intro music, but he was really cool about it and sent a bunch of people here. So if you're from Crypto Daily, hello. No, I think he's hilarious, and I think he brings a good perspective to the space. So yeah, I have no problems with Crypto Daily. I have no fisticuffs here. Do I like Elastos? Yeah, sure. It's interesting. I wouldn't say I'm like a diehard fan of it, nor would I say I'm a skeptic. I'm just kind of in the middle on that. But yeah, I think they've done some cool stuff. Let's see. Thoughts on Own. Own is interesting. Like I've seen it shilled like everywhere recently. And that's not cool, but they're building interesting stuff, but at the end of the day they're just another issuance platform. So yeah, like they haven't done enough for me to stand out as like the number one issuance platform or anything like that, but they've definitely done okay. I wish they would go back to the website that they had before, because their new one, I don't like it at all. um Yeah, I already know that Spice VC. That was last week that they opened up trading for Spice VC, which again, you have to be an accredited investor in the U.S. to trade that. Maybe not just the U.S. I don't know, but yeah, that one. If you guys want a free tip, Spice VC is like super interesting. I'll answer that as my favorite STO, because they're a fund, they're a VC fund, and they're invested in like five different, six or seven different like projects relating to STOs. So yeah, they're super interesting. I think they're going to be huge. Um, but yeah, long term, I'm more interested in like actual platforms and actual infrastructure layers. But for right now, like you can't go wrong with having seven investments in like seven really cool projects. So, anyways, let's see. Favorite altcoin right now? Wow. I haven't thought about that question in a while. Um, darn. I I mean, this is gonna be cop out, but I've been really impressed with Walton Chain over the past day. I mean, I've been disappointed with them, just kind of pushing back their mainnet release, but they finally gave more details, and like the CEO gave like a really awesome letter, and they did like a really cool map of what their their overall ecosystem is gonna look like. So I know I'm chilling WTC, and nothing's changed, but yeah, over the past day, they've done some really cool stuff. Other than that, I really like what like Stellar's doing. I think they've been doing some awesome stuff. What was another one that I just saw? Yeah, there's I mean like what I'm interested in right now is projects that are clearly still in it, you know? I want to see projects that have staying power, that aren't giving up, that aren't ghosting their community, that like they're going strong into 2019. So like that's what I want to see from a project right now, because my biggest concern over the next year is if they're going to survive. So that's what I want to see. So, anyways, my thoughts on Ripple. Watch my video from yesterday. I had some thoughts. I tried to be as neutral as I could, but man, Ripple people are very opinionated. So I think that's going to be my last Ripple video for a while. No offense to Ripple people. It's just people have very strong opinions on Ripple, and I like poked that bear. Like, wow, okay. So, um, Ripple's not a bad project or anything like that. It's one of those ones that like you either hate it or love it, and I'm trying to be the best I can to be like right in the middle, but as I've learned, you can't do that. um, Thoughts on Icon? Icon, they're still doing cool stuff. Don't get me wrong. I think they've had a very disappointing 2018, and I'll be the first to admit that I was wrong on declaring them my project of the year. That was pretty apparent by like February that pick was not a good one, and I apologize to anyone who believed me on that. Yeah, sorry, but yeah, it doesn't mean that they're a bad project. They've just, I think it was sort of premature to declare them as like a substantial project. I think they went far too big, far too fast, and they really needed to like get their stuff together before they did that. So that said, I think they are moving into 2019. Relatively good, about as good as you could expect from a project right now that has staying power. So yeah, let's see. Do you think Backed will successfully launch on the current schedule? It's not up to them. It's up to the CFTC. They're still pending CFTC approval, and so that is sort of the hang up. That's why they've been delayed two times. So, um, yeah, the potential impact on the market, yeah, I would say it is overrated, because when they launch, I mean, guys, honestly, like the next couple months, what I'm anticipating is Bitcoin ETF probably is not getting approved. I'm sorry if that's the first time you're hearing that, but yeah, I think it's got like a 10% chance of being approved, if that. Backed, sure, maybe they'll launch when they say they are, but I don't think it's going to be like this big thing that like, oh, cool, bull market, um, stuff like that takes time to roll out. It takes time for them to attract institutional investors. Like they need it, it's just going to take time. So like just like the security token space, like it's going to take time to roll it out. And I know like the last thing you guys want to hear right now is that we're going to continue on the current trajectory or just go sideways, or like we're not going to get a bull run for another 12 months or anything like that. But hopefully what I'm impressing upon you is that it's okay, because the things that are happening, the things that are in motion right now, will have far reaching effects. So you've got to look at this space as a long-term investment. If you were looking at cryptocurrency as a short-term investment, if you were looking at STOs as a short-term investment, you are doing it wrong. And hopefully you've learned that over the last 12 months, but I've got to make that very clear, because otherwise your expectations will not be in check and you will be continually disappointed. So that's my 2 cents, 2 satoshis on that. But yeah, let's see. Oh yeah, Ravencoin is doing some cool stuff. They just they're doing like STOs as a part of their basically Bitcoin, but transacting like actual assets. I think that's the simplest way I can explain it. But they just moved this like huge amount of money. I forget the news story. I just saw this the other day, but it was really cool. Like the article was really interesting. So yeah, honestly, like Ravencoin is still like killing it. I know they went like way too fast up in the charts and then they came right back down. But that's another one that, yeah, maybe to answer that question from earlier about what my favorite altcoin was. Yeah, that's one I definitely like watching. Am I participating in proof of keys? I'm actually working on a video on that. So good question. Let's see. Okay, I'll take one more question because I got to take a nap, guys. I'm tired. Let's see. Looking for a good question. Man, who's got a question? Who's got a question? Awkward pause. Awkward pause. All right. I don't know about Ravane. It's like shot up in the charts recently, and I have not looked into it, to be honest. But yeah, hopefully it's not just a pump and dump. Let's see. Oh yeah, that's actually what Doc is doing right now regarding the recession. He's watching the Fed announcement, so I don't know what just happened with that, but hopefully it was good. I don't know. I think there will be an economic slowdown, or just not the same trajectory that we've seen. And so it's going to be very interesting for this space over the next year. In addition to all the other stuff that we're working on, we now have to contend with a global economic slowdown potentially in the mix. And what is that going to look like? I don't think it's going to be this huge 2008 like just like obliteration. I think it's going to be this like just kind of like choppy, just like 2 years of like this. But I mean, people have been trying to predict the bear market, the recession for like years now, and so honestly, it's anyone's guess. And I don't think interest rates and the Fed are directly to blame. It's definitely a piece of that, but I mean, guys, like consumer debt and like just debt in general is like absolutely a balloon. There's part of my presentation earlier. There, like it was talking about like we had the dot-com bubble and burst, and then we had the housing bubble and burst, and now we have the everything bubble. So, yeah, I don't know. Like I'm a little concerned, but at the same time, like you know, if you're truly an investor and trader, like you're gonna look for opportunities regardless of where the market is going. So, yeah, I'm not telling anyone to be short right now, but like at the same time, like you've got to kind of hedge your bets. So cool. Okay, I think that's been long enough. I really appreciate you guys sticking around. Like this has been hopefully a really informational session. I know it's kind of like it's still one of those topics that like I'm trying to talk about as much as I can and like impress upon people. And it's kind of funny for me because like I feel like I'm talking to you guys like how you might talk about Bitcoin at the Thanksgiving dinner table. Like, it is security tokens, I think, are still like kind of this amalgamous, nebulous thing. Like it's still not very well defined, and it's still not very well understood. I think like 99% of investors still don't understand what's going on with it. But hopefully, your takeaway from this is that it's a bigger opportunity than people are, like people just aren't seeing it right now. And like that's what I'm trying to help you out with. So again, like I'd love for you to be able to join our private group. It's readysetcrypto.com/STO. Again, the sale is good till Christmas. So yeah, just like honestly, like please reach out if you have any questions. But yeah, I'm super excited to be able to offer that. I'm super excited for where we are going into 2019. Thank you so much for being a part of this channel. Like again, it like my heart goes out to you. Like this has been such an awesome year, and like I will do the best I can to like make a cool video or do something interesting once I hit 100K, because that like you guys help make that happen. And like I can't thank you enough. Like it has been yeah, just so unexpected for me. I'm not usually this kind of guy, or like before this I was working at a Fortune 500 soul crushing job, and now I get to do something that I love every day, and it's because you guys help me do that. And like, so yeah, again, thank you from the bottom of my heart. I love doing what I do. I love trying to spread as much information and like dispel as much FUD as I can in the space, and just trying to be like somebody who gives back to the community, because we so need that right now. We so need like to put like crypto above everything else. Like it doesn't matter like your individual your like motive or whatever it is, because like crypto is it like it's such in such a like a transitory state right now. Like it needs the push of people that are willing to push it in the right direction. So yeah, thank you for like helping make this community happen. Thank you for being part of this community. And like again, I'm really excited for 2019 because what the market is going to do, but also what we're going to do together. So like again, thank you so much. I rambled on long enough. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys later. Cheers. All right, take it easy, guys.